vocal despite the challenges you're facing?
Well, because like I described with the youth, they don't know. They've never heard this before. And this is something that I hear often, is that I'm the first person they've heard say this. And that's just wrong. I mean, we've known about the mental health harms of marijuana since the 1980s, since the 1990s with that FDA packet. And so it should be out on the billboards. By the way, this can cause anxiety, depression, increase your risk for suicide, cause hallucinations, and paranoia. Now, paranoia is one of the side effects that people readily understand. They say, oh no, I get paranoid on pot. But what people don't understand is that paranoia is oftentimes one of the first symptoms of psychosis. And so if a person feels paranoid on pot, that's an indication that your brain is sensitive to it and you need to stop immediately. Now, there is a large marijuana company, and I looked at their website, and on their frequently asked questions page, there was a question that said, I sometimes get paranoid. Am I doing something wrong? And the official answer from the company was, maybe you chose the wrong strain. What you should do is go back to a pot shop and talk to one of our bud tenders, and they'll find a different product for you to use. And I think that is just so cruel to tell someone who is suffering from paranoia, someone who, if they continue to use, because if you continue to have psychotic experiences on marijuana, like paranoia, because paranoia, if you think about it, somebody is convinced something is happening when it isn't. And so you can see how that could lead to a complete disconnect from reality. So if a person is feeling paranoid.
So it seems like the state has legalized these products, and we have them at very high potency that's kind of past the natural zone. Definitely. By multiples.
Yes.
The state didn't want to have, the leaders didn't want to have the label, the warning label, which seems like a very small thing.
Yeah.
How do you keep going if we couldn't even get this passed?
Oh, because I don't have a choice. I mean, it's just in my heart. I can't bear the thought of seeing someone wind up with a mental illness like my brother, or to have other people be victimized like my friends who testified for the bill. Many people think that it's their medicine, and they don't know that there are any side effects at all because no one is telling them. And it's just so cruel. And not only is it cruel to the individuals, but it's harming the rest of California. Because if we have people using a substance that they think is safe, but increases their risk for schizophrenia, what's going to happen to our homeless population? It's just going to keep growing. And if we don't understand what marijuana is doing to the mental health of our residents, what's going to happen? We've got magic mushrooms that they're talking about legalizing that now. And so our mental health problems are just going to get worse in our state. And it's too painful for me to see. And I don't want to see anyone become mentally ill like my brother. I mean, thank heavens. I'm so grateful to say that he is sober today, but he will never work. He will never drive a car. He will never have a family. And we are paying for him as taxpayers because he's mentally disabled. And could this disability been avoided by not using marijuana, by not using the one substance that converts the most often to schizophrenia? So there's a few substances that can cause hallucinations and other psychosis, and that's marijuana, methamphetamine, the hallucinogens, but marijuana converts to schizophrenia at the highest rate, at 47%. And so we've got to do everything we can to prevent mental illness in our state if we can. And we can prevent some mental illness by preventing schizophrenia. Any substance-induced psychosis we can prevent by telling people that there are some substances that can damage your brain and can damage your mental health in the short term and in the long term. And we have to be honest with them about that so that they can make their own decisions.
And now in terms of the things that the state leaders can do, seems like this bill came along and they got pressure from the industry and this industry too, the people that got into this industry to build a business. What can they do together so that we can avoid some of this damage that you're mentioning is happening?
Well, there's a new bill in the Senate, SB 540, I believe, and this is to put warning labels on THC products. And this one is industry-led, and it has nothing about mental health risks on it, absolutely nothing. And so that bill should not go through, because if a bill comes through that leaves the mental health warnings off, it'll be a long time before we'll get any adjustments to a warning label at all. Additionally, we have a bill, AB 1207, and this is one to put protections on the THC candies that we've seen, because we've had children, toddlers eating these candies that are psychoactive THC candies, and we've also had seniors going to emergency rooms because of overdosing on marijuana products, having hallucinations and paranoia and vomiting, and the emergency room visits went up over 900% in California since legalization. And so California is paying for this. Just many people don't attribute what they see to marijuana, or they go, oh, it's just marijuana and it's not a big deal. Mental health is a very big deal. It's a very expensive deal. Addiction is a big problem, and yes, THC is addictive, especially at the high potency products.
Now, Heidi, do you have any other thoughts for our audience?
Yes. So one of the first symptoms of marijuana, one of the things that people should be aware of is that some people get paranoid on pot. And paranoia, a lot of people don't understand, is one of the first symptoms of psychosis. And if a person continues to use marijuana when they have things like psychosis, then they are more at risk for getting schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. Both of those are long-term mental illnesses. And so everybody needs to know that if you ever hear anybody having a paranoid reaction, tell that person to stop immediately. And there was one marijuana company who had on their website something about paranoia, where in their frequently asked questions, a customer said, I sometimes feel paranoid on pot, am I doing something wrong? And their official answer was, well, you don't know where you got the marijuana, you don't know what the potency was, and maybe what you should do is just go back to our pot shop and you can talk to a bud tender and they'll find the pot that's right for you. And that is 100% the wrong answer. The right answer is stop using immediately. And I think that this should be something that everybody should be aware of. Paranoia is an indication to stay away from marijuana.
Heidi Swan, author and advocate for mental health in California. It was great to have you on
Thank
California
you,
Insider.
Siamak. Thank you so much.